It's 11:59 at Gun Owners Radio, and this is the Penn Patriot, music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, and another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind American lines, this is your song.
And now it's time for our gun truth of the week.
Gun truth of the week. Okay, this week's gun truth of the week is we're going to start with a myth. The myth is the anti-gunners say that they don't want to take all your guns. They always say that, right? Oh, no, we just want reasonable restrictions. We don't want to take all your guns. And that is a complete and total myth. I want to show a clip from candidate Obama, and he was talking to a crowd, and a guy asks a fantastic question, and Obama's answer is an example of this anti-gun gun myth. So let's play that clip.
The good guys, why then do you and Hillary want to control and restrict and limit gun manufacturers, gun owners, and the responsible use of guns and ammunition to the rest of us, the good guys, instead of holding the bad guys accountable for their actions? And Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to use Chicago, your hometown, a city that has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, a city that for decades and still is under Democratic control, a city that has an outrageous and even embarrassing murder rate as my first example. Why can't we round up these thugs, these drug dealers and gang members, and hold them accountable for their actions, or allow the good people in Chicago access to firearms to protect themselves?
Good. All right. Well, let me, it's a multi-part question, so let me just say a couple things. First of all, the notion that I or Hillary or Democrats or whoever you want to choose are hell-bent on taking away folks' guns is just not true. And I don't care how many times the NRA says it. I'm about to leave office. There have been more guns sold since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history. There are enough guns for every man, woman, and child in this country. And at no point have I ever proposed confiscating guns from responsible gun owners. So it's just not true.
Okay, so there's an example of the gun myth. We don't want to take your guns. You guys are being extremists. Come on. Reasonable restrictions. First, that's completely untrue. Now, has there ever been a proposal where they say, hey, we want to take every single firearm all at once from every single American? I couldn't really find an example of that. I could find Senator Feinstein saying that she wanted to do that at one point, but she knew she didn't have the votes. But what I can find are many examples of them taking or proposing to take types of guns. And if you put it all together, it is nothing short of a complete and total gun ban. In other words, there have been, over the last 30 years or so, there have been multiple proposals to have reasonable gun restrictions, which were in effect taking some kind of gun, some kind of pistol or pistols altogether, some kind of shotgun, some kind of rifle, or rifles altogether, so, some kind of category. And had they all passed, had we not fought back, and they all passed, in effect right now in 2025 would basically be a complete and total gun ban. We'd be worse off than Australia. Starting off with the Obama administration, when he was campaigning, he said he wanted to reinstate the 1994 assault weapons ban, which is a gun ban. It is banning a type of gun. After he took office, Attorney General Eric Holder, who was under Obama, CBS News right here, February 26, 2009, reports that he wanted to reinstate the assault weapons ban. He claims he never wanted to do that. A lot of folks who are fans of Obama claim, oh, he didn't take any of your guns. He didn't take any of our guns because they started talking about an assault weapons ban. We pushed back and stopped him from doing it. Here's the quote. Responding to a reporter's question on weapons regulations, Holder said, quote, well, as President Obama indicated during the campaign, there are just a few gun-related changes that we would like to make, and among them would be to reinstate the ban on the sale of assault weapons. I think that will have a positive impact in Mexico at a minimum. Maybe it would have a positive impact in Mexico. I live in the United States, though, and it would definitely have a negative impact in the United States. So there are, starting in, about 30 years ago, there have been many, including a federal, in 1993, 1994, there was a federal assault weapons ban that was enacted in 94. In California in 1989, the Roberti Roos Assault Weapons Control Act, the AWCA. In New Jersey in 1990, the New Jersey firearms law, which was an early comprehensive quote-unquote assault weapons ban, which an assault weapon is a firearm. It's a semi-automatic firearm. Very popular, nothing exotic or dangerous. In Connecticut, 2013, they had an assault weapons ban and a magazine restriction. In Massachusetts, in 1998, an assault weapons ban and gun control. In 2013, Maryland Firearms Act was an assault weapons ban and magazines. The New York SAFE Act in 2013, HB 13 and 1224, which was a large capacity magazine restriction in Colorado in 2013, Washington State, on and on and on and on. I just named 9. There are dozens more that restricted, at one point wanted to restrict and completely stop the ownership of pistols altogether across the entire nation. And then they said, okay, well, we're only going to get rid of Saturday night specials back in the 90s. If you're old enough to remember, they said, hey, we want to ban Saturday night specials. A Saturday night special was a cheap firearm. So a certain type of pistol they wanted to ban because they said it was used in crime. Over and over and over again. Then they started getting sophisticated and doing the safe handgun roster, which was a de facto ban, where they said, hey, we're not going to ban firearms, but if your firearm doesn't live up to an unachievable expectation because the technology doesn't exist, then you simply can't sell it to anybody. That's a ban. That's a ban. If all these anti-gun proposals had been allowed to stand, had they all passed, then this idea of this gun myth of, oh, well, we don't want to take all your guns, all of your guns would have been taken. Mm-hmm. And the reality is when they look at some kind of subcategory of gun, whether it's an assault weapon, which is just a semi-automatic rifle, it doesn't perform, it doesn't mechanically differ from any other firearm. So if they can ban that, they can ban any firearm, and that's what they've tried. And that is a complete and total myth. That's your gun truth of the week, is had we allowed them, had we given even more ground than gun owners have already given, then by this time, all your guns would have been banned. Your rifles, at one point, anything with a scope was called a sniper rifle, and they were talking about banning that, which in essence is your deer hunting gun. In reality, not just essence, in reality is your deer hunting gun. So all these proposals that we fight back against, it's because in aggregate, they end up being a complete and total gun ban. They've figured out, the anti-gunners, that a total gun ban is impossible and extremely unpopular. So now they just chip away at the edges until they've completely accomplished their goal, which we've stopped them dead in their tracks. So that's your gun truth of the week. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they do whatever they can to try to make it palatable, right? So it sounds palatable to people to say, well, we don't want a gun ban. We just want common sense gun laws, or we just want, I think he said responsible gun owners. He'd like throwing the word responsible in there. I think it makes it sound more normal to start kind of etching away at our rights. And I think for many of us, we hear things like that and we kind of think, well, yeah, like they don't want everything, but they truly do. And the reason that they're saying they don't is so that you don't get scared when you hear the policies they're trying to push. And I have had somebody tell me, straight to my face with a straight face that she didn't want all guns taken. She just wanted all AR-15s taken. And I'm like, okay. So where does this end?
Yeah.
Like, if we start with ARs, like, what's next? There's never going to be enough because they do actually want a complete and total ban of firearms. But that would sound so crazy to most gun owners that they can't say that. So they just start kind of chipping away slowly.
You mean like chipping away with the Glock in California?
Yep, like Glocks.
Start by chipping away the pieces that they think they have easy access to get to.
Yeah, I read a
It becomes a slippery slope.
something like first off, like it was something like 1 in 4. I think it was even higher than that. But a huge percentage of gun owners own a Glock. So almost every gun owner out there, owns. I don't remember the exact percentage, but then what I do remember is 15% of firearms sold are Glocks. 15%. So is that a gun ban? Well, gee, we don't want to ban all your guns. Okay,
Just 15% of them.
there's 15%. So how many? What more do you have to do? They've already banned certain types of semi-automatic rifles in California and some other states. What percentage is of that? And they keep chipping away.
Yeah.
You're going to be you would if you put all of these into effect, had all of these gone into effect, you'd be at zero.
Yeah.
Essentially, you couldn't buy a revolver. That's a Saturday night special. You can't buy a semi-automatic rifle. You can't buy a sniper rifle because to hunt deer with. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, don't get tricked by their PR campaign. They have people who make a lot of money telling them what words to use to seem less scary or to seem less like confiscation. That's why they've come up with common sense, and that's why they've come up with responsible and all of the
assault
keywords
weapon.
and assault weapons and
Right.
all of those keywords that they're using. Like, this is because they're paying a company a ton of money to be their PR, and they're trying to figure out what words can we use that won't scare the voters off. So don't fall for it.
There you go. All right. That's your gun truth of the week. So Gun Owners Radio, we talk about politics a lot. We talk about Second Amendment a lot. And I think we're going to try something new and actually talk about guns a lot. So I don't know. Sometimes we get so absorbed with what's going on politically.
I know.
We get so absorbed over all the horrible bills and everything that we forget to talk about.
There's so much to be distracted by.
Yeah.
We forget to talk about how cool and fun shooting is. But you just did something really awesome. Right,
Yeah.
Dakota?
Yes, I did.
You just got back from a trip where you did was the whole purpose of the trip was the shoot?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So I went to what's called Fall Fest. It is hosted in Missouri out at the Lucas Cattle Ranch, which is Lucas Oil, actually. So that family.
Oh, yeah.
So they have this awesome range property down in Missouri, and they host the only all-women's 3-gun match in the country that I'm aware of. And it's hosted by the ranch and then also a girl and a gun. So Robin Sandoval kind of is the leader of the event. She plans all the decor and the themes and all the fun stuff. And then there's an awesome team of a range master and a manager for the match, Cindy Coker and Adam Wilcox, and they did a phenomenal job. It was the best match I've ever been to.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so have you done what was a 3-gun match, right?
Yeah, so there's 3 days of events. So the first day is a team pistol shoot. So you and a teammate compete against all the other teams. So I think there were like 45 teams, something like that. And that's all pistol. So it's basically USPSA style.
Yeah.
But the theme this year was board games or games in general. And so each stage was its own thing. So it was like Twister was one of the stages. So we had to start out on a Twister board. We both spun.
On a
for,
Twister
like,
board. All
Yes,
right.
for like where our hands have to go and where our feet have to go. And that's like your start position for that stage. And then another stage was Trivial Pursuit, where you had to like answer a question and go shoot something and then bring back like your little pie square like the Trivial Pursuit board
Yeah.
game has.
Wow.
So the themes were super fun. But team pistol was Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday is the multi-gun.
Gotcha.
So I shot in the 3-gun divisions. Most people compete in 3-gun, but there is a division for PCC if you want to, and there's also like a 2-gun division if you don't want to shoot shotgun.
PCC, pistol caliber carbine.
Yes.
Do you have a PCC?
I do not. I don't shoot PCC.
I don't have one either.
Yeah.
Alicia, do you have a PCC?
I don't. No.
I don't have one either.
I'm not that cool.
Might be time.
Yeah, I think
Christmas
that
is right around the
It might
corner.
be time. Maybe we should go shopping together.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Eventually, I'll have one.
Okay, so you haven't done a lot of 3-gun.
No.
I haven't done a lot of 3-gun. I used to do here in San Diego, at Lemon Grove Rod and Gun. They'd have some what I would call fairly informal, competitions of all kinds. They'd have these fairly informal 3-gun, formal enough to where you get some good shooting in.
Yeah.
And they follow the rules. But informal is just kind of a hey, we're all showing up and we're doing this thing. We're paying a couple of bucks and we're setting this up, and it was fun. It was really really cool.
Yeah.
I liked. It's rare. It's rare, and it's not a skill I don't think a lot of people work on. I'm not sure how valuable the skill is in real world, but transitioning from one firearm to another, but still is really cool. But I did it, with I used a Glock and a Mossberg and an AR.
Okay.
But then in one of the competitions, they had like a World War II division, So I used
A lot of them do cowboy as well.
Yeah, I didn't have anything cowboy, but I had what did I use? I had a bolt action. I had a Remington 300. No, a Remington Model 30S Express, which was bolt action.
That's fun.
30-06.
Yeah.
And then I used my Mossberg pump shotgun. I don't remember what pistol I used, but I think somebody lent me their 1911 or something like that. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. What was your takeaway from the 3-gun?
3-gun is challenging. So I try. I think probably everybody who listens to this show at this point knows that I am a competitive person. Like I'm very competitive with myself, very competitive with other people.
I had noticed that.
Yeah.
Alicia, did you notice that?
Not at all.
Hadn't noticed that.
Yes. So
I think I hadn't noticed that more than you, though, to be honest with you.
Probably.
I am very competitive. And so I had to give myself a big pep talk on the plane on the way there. You don't win. It's fine. You're going to have fun. I tried to give myself grace because it is pretty much a new sport to me. I've done some multi-gun stuff, but not anything that was like 3-gun on the clock. You're using all 3 platforms on one stage. And I don't ever shoot long-range rifle at all. Like I pretty much only shoot like 100 yards in. And so there were shots out to like 600, 700 yards at this match. And so I knew going in, like, I'm not going to be the best, obviously. But on Saturday morning, I had the worst start. Like my first stage, I didn't have shotgun shells on my belt like I needed. So I go to reload the gun and I don't have any bird shot on me. And so I had to abandon a spinner, which was like a 60-second penalty. Like it just started off so rough.
What was that? Was that just nerves or what happened there?
I loaded the tube with a shotgun off of my belt. Rookie mistake. You don't do that. You load it out of the box and then you fill your belt and you leave it on. But
now, here's the thing.
I was the first shooter of the first stage, and it was a shotgun I had never shot, a rifle I had never shot. So I was just like discombobulated anyway.
So so they provided firearms?
No, I borrowed from friends because my AR is California compliant.
Gotcha.
And I didn't want to deal with having to, separate the upper and the lower to drop the mag.
Okay, so you made this big snafu, whatever, right? How was everybody's response?
Well, nobody cared except me.
Nobody cared except you.
But I cared a lot.
I'm sure you did. But that's one thing I want to emphasize. If you're out there thinking to yourself that, gosh, I don't want to do one of these competitions because I'm afraid of not having whatever. I've found
everyone's so supportive.
Everyone's so supportive.
Yes.
In fact, I've never ever seen anything bad happen at a match of any kind. In other words, I've never seen someone like berate someone else. I've never seen anything even close to that.
Yeah.
In fact, usually people are like, "Hey, don't worry about it, man. I did it." They tell you their story about when they screwed up.
Unless it's like a safety
Right.
thing.
I would say I've seen some safety things go bad.
Yes.
I've seen some people get berated and kicked off
For safe
Well,
settings.
safety's
Safety
different.
for sure. Kicked
Safety's
off,
different.
you're out
Yes.
of here.
Yes.
Yep.
But I mean, like, some kind of snafu like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
where
no,
you're-
people are so friendly.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had to give myself a pep talk after that first stage. I was like, okay, you're definitely not going to place in this competition because you just had, like, this huge penalty.
Yeah.
So, might as well focus on, like, each stage being the best you can do. And, so I had to kind of shift my mentality a little bit. Second stage went similarly bad. It was, like, so rough starting. And then after that, like, we had lunch and then we had 2 more stages on Saturday and I shot much better. And then Sunday I shot for all 4 stages on Sunday and I got a stage win, like
Congratulations.
the highest score on one of the stages, and then I also got second place on a stage on Sunday. So
Congratulations.
I felt really good about kind of my recovery, but I share that to say, like, a lot of that was mentality. I had to just shift my mindset because I was so frustrated with myself. I was so upset about those first 2 stages going so badly. And I really feel like giving myself that pep talk of, like, everything is as good as you could have done it. Like, you made some errors. That sucks. It's going to impact your ranking a lot. But it's done. You can't do anything about what's in the past. So let's focus on the present. Let's focus on the future and, like, try to do our best in those. And so I ended up I eked out a 3rd place win in my division overall.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
I was pretty happy with a podium finish. I was not expecting that.
Well, now your division was people that hold themselves to extremely high standards and then berate themselves in their. Is that the division? That you
No,
were in?
my division was modified TAC ops, which means that I could have a red dot on the shotgun and a red dot or an LPVO on the AR.
Gotcha.
And I could also run a dot on my pistol. So I had dots on all the guns and an LPVO on the rifle.
Did you like it enough? Do you think you're going to do more 3-gun?
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed it. The team pistol challenge on Friday, that felt like my normal, that felt like what I do. Like, I do USPSA, that felt super comfortable. The 3-gun match was so uncomfortable for me because it was all new. It's very different from the sports that I shoot here, and so it definitely gave me the bug a little bit. I was like, I gotta start
you gotta
getting
get good at this.
Yeah, I gotta start getting better at this thing.
And then it was you were doing 600-yard shots with your AR.
Yeah,
Was
and
this like from a?
I got hits.
You got hit. Was
Mm-hmm.
it? What was the? Were you prone or what was the?
No, so it's all standing supported. So, like, some of the furthest shots were on this, like, they were all board game themed. So it was an operation board, like with the funny bone and stuff, but it had ports. And so you could, like, put your rifle in the port. And then there was a chutes and ladders.
Wait. It was like the operation guy. So the ports
Yes.
were like his spleen was like a
Yes,
port and everything.
yeah,
and then
we're
you-
gonna
okay,
put a
gotcha.
photo up so everybody could see. But yes, the operation board was fun.
So
And then
standing supported 600 yards with someone else's AR.
yes,
And you were getting hits.
I did miss one of those shots, but I got all the other hits on that stage.
Well,
yeah.
congratulations
Yeah.
on that. I think that in and of itself is an accomplishment.
The guy I borrowed the rifle from was like, I think that's your gun now. I was like, I take it. I like it.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
All right, and this was a Girl and a Gun Fall Fest? Is that what
Yeah, a Girl and a Gun Fall Fest, and it's open to the public. It's open to any female competitors. So Team Pistol Friday, and then multi-gun Saturday, Sunday. So it's a full weekend. And if you are new to 3-gun, they have what's called 3-gun University, which I totally would have done if I had time. I just couldn't get away for that many days. But it's 3 days before the competition, and it's basically like boot camp for 3-gun. So you take your stuff. You don't have to know that much about the sport or stage planning, and you have squad pros. So like people who are sponsored shooters who are really good at 3-gun, teaching each class. So there's like 3 different categories you can be in. There's like a slow and steady all the way up to like burning it down, and so you can kind of decide what level you want to learn at, and then they'll walk you through everything you need to know.
3-gun University. Man.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what must the frat parties be like in 3-gun University? Sounds like a hoot.
It's fun.
Well, cool. Well, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome job, a girl and a gun, as always. And
Yeah.
That sounds fun. So if you've ever considered doing any kind of competition, whether it's pistol, rifle, shotgun, 3-gun, whatever, just do it, man.
Yeah.
Just get out there, or woman. Just do it. Get out there and do it. You don't have to be as good as Dakota to go out and try new things. So anyway, well, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We'll put some pictures up. We'll put some videos up for you guys. If you see the fact that I'm wearing a white tutu, it's because the team pistol is also a costume contest, and I'm getting married as of this recording yesterday. So
Congratulations on your wedding.
thank you. So I was a bride, so that's why I'm in a white tutu in the videos. Just wanted to give that disclaimer.
It didn't look out of place at all. I always wear a white tutu
When
when
you're
I did my
shooting.
shooting
Yeah,
competition.
yeah.
I didn't even notice. So anyway, all right, great. Well, fantastic.
Remember that we are not lawyers and nothing that we say is to be taken as legal advice. Our sponsor, John Dillon, is a lawyer, and he has been helping to fight those gun violence restraining orders, GVROs, and more. So if you know somebody that's had their self-defense rights taken away without due process, give John a call. His website is dillonlawgp.com, and his phone number is 760-642-7150.
So AB 1078 is pretty new. I think it was amended in September. But it is actually changing a significant amount of stuff related to California gun laws. And so I just thought it would be an interesting thing to chat about.
Let's talk about it. Which one? Now, AB 1078 was which one is that?
I don't know the name of it off the top of my head.
But it's the three and one?
Yes,
Is
so
that what it is?
they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot related to CCWs too. So it basically establishes new criteria for folks who aren't residents of California to get their CCW or renew their license. And it's also requiring a little bit more about their live fire shooting. There's a lot of amendments as far as like who can apply and what specific things exempt you from being able to apply as a non-resident. And some of the things were a little bit surprising, like
Yeah,
things
give me an
about
example.
like theft of firearms. There's a rule about if you didn't properly report a theft of a firearm, you can't get a CCW.
That's for anybody, out of state or in state?
I think it's
Anybody.
just. Oh, I thought
I
it was
believe-
just
well,
non-Californian
Let's go back.
residents.
Let's
but let's check.
clarify it.
So it started. So AB 1078, the biggest part of it is that what they're trying to do is, of course, we got struck down in court, the Wynn lawsuit. There was a restriction where you could only buy one firearm per month.
Yes.
So they're now saying, oh, okay, great. Well, that is unconstitutional. So now we're going to limit you to 3 per month.
Yes.
But then there are other things hidden in this bill.
Yes.
But while you're looking at that, the 3 in 1 month is no different than the 1 in 1 month.
Right.
So it's going to get struck down.
And it's going into effect in April. So as of April 1st, 2026, you'll only be able to get 3 guns per 30-day period.
Yep.
And we already know that the limit was unconstitutional.
Right.
That was decided. So I don't understand what they think I don't get it. I think this is a huge waste of money, and maybe they're just doing it so that we have to spend money suing them over it.
Well,
I don't know.
And if you read the decision in the Wynn case, it didn't say that the fact that it was 1 is what was constitutional. It was the fact that there was a limit that was
Yes. Right.
unconstitutional. So limiting it to 3 is still a limit and is still unconstitutional.
And it's a random arbitrary number.
It's a random
with no
arbitrary
factual
number.
basis or reason. Yeah.
So it's going, it's going to get struck down. It's going to go to court. Going to get an injunction. All the good things are happening, but that doesn't mean we're not going to stub our toe on the way down the path. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean we're going to get some bad judge who says, "Oh no, this is totally different, and I'm anti-gun, therefore I'm going to rule against." Eventually, we'll prevail, but in the meantime, we still got to raise the money. We still got to get the attorney. We still got to go to court. We still got to hope for good judges. But what Dakota has found, and what Alicia's talking about here, is that AB 1078 has even more embedded in it.
So much more.
Yes.
So okay, so
So just to
Go
talk
ahead.
about the 3 in 1 for a second, there was also going to be a provision that basically said no matter what happens with that other case, this one's still going to stand. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So they did get rid of that in Senate amendments. They did amend that out. They removed that provision. So a little bit of a positive note hidden in this awful bill, right?
Yeah.
That it's not as bad as it was going to be.
Right.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of other stuff. So
name another bad thing. So if you didn't properly report a pistol or any kind of firearm getting stolen, then they won't let you have a CCW, even though you're not a prohibited person.
exactly.
which is another thing we're going to have to it's another lawsuit. So what else did you find in 1078?
Go ahead. You can.
So what we know is that we know with the Ninth Circuit based on SB2. Last year, in September of last year, the Ninth Circuit made a ruling that allowed some of those sensitive spaces to come through, stated clearly that some of those were not prohibited from carry. So the Ninth Circuit decision, let's go back to it, states that we can carry on public transportation, tribal land, healthcare facilities, banks, movie theaters, churches, and public gatherings that require a permit. That came out of the Ninth Circuit based on the SB2 cases last year. But the reason I mention that is we go here to AB 1078. Here's what they're proposing. They're saying existing law prohibits a person who is licensed to carry a firearm from carrying a firearm in specific places, including schools, government buildings. Now, what they're referencing here is because right now we kind of have this SB2 thing, but the Ninth Circuit kind of made a temporary ruling. But SB2 says we can't carry hospitals, zoos, parks, churches, and a bus, train, or other form of public transportation. Existing law exempts a firearm that is secured in a lockbox as specified. This bill would exempt a firearm that is unloaded and locked in lockbox for the purpose of transporting the firearm, right? But what they're looking to do is they're looking to basically work against the Ninth Circuit.
Yeah.
So there's just so much confusion about this. There are carry prohibited locations and things are already so convoluted, and there's all this back and forth in the law, and this is just yet adding another layer to that in, out, we can, we can't.
It's
a lot
going
of confusion.
to be so
a lot
confusing,
of confusion.
and nobody's going to know what the actual law is at the moment unless they're basically a paralegal. It's very complicated to understand what is currently in effect and what isn't. And I think one of the things that bothers me so much about that concept is that you are taking normal, everyday, law-abiding citizens and you are making them criminals for crimes they did not know they were committing. And that is atrocious. Why are we trying to make criminals? We've got plenty of criminals already. Let's focus on them. Why are we trying to make more?
I'm sure it's just an honest mistake. They respect our Second Amendment. I'm sure they're just like, well, once we explain it to them, their folly, I'm sure they'll say, oh, geez, you're right. Let's be respectful of your Second Amendment rights. It's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing, but we all know why, and we see this as yet another tactic. Is there anything else you want to point out before we wrap up? What else do we want to point out about? Because I was surprised to hear that there was more than just the 3-in-1 for AB 1078. What's one more?
It seems to it speaks a decent amount to a psychological assessment as well.
Yes.
So we know some counties are doing that. It seems to lend that is likely going to be a push to become more of the protocol within the state. So so
right now it isn't that there isn't a psychological analysis when it comes to getting a CCW. It's just that it is what they want to do is actively force you to prove you're not crazy, rather than say, hey, look, I've never gone to, I've never been committed. I've never had a judge, say that I'm harm to myself or others. So it's very similar to the red flag laws, where they're basically saying, hey, we're gonna make you prove, up front that you're not, a horrible, dangerous person, rather than the other way around. Right now, it's that, hey, if you've done something to prove that you're a horrible, dangerous person, then okay, there are regulations or restrictions, that sort of thing. But now they're basically assuming right off the bat you're probably a horrible and dangerous person. You have to prove you're not first before you get to exercise your rights.
And if anybody's taken this PSI, which is essentially referencing what this is about, you know that this is not a true, great, reliable psychological assessment.
Right.
Which, have you ever taken the PSI?
I haven't taken it, but
I've taken it.
My understanding, it's a personality test.
It is.
It's not
It's looking essentially. I'm not giving away any secrets. Essentially, what it is it's looking at if you are reclusive, if you enjoy spending time alone, if you don't like being out in the limelight and kind of hanging with friends, you're likely a psychopath. That's kind of what this is about. It's assessing how social you are. It's more of a personality thing. You're correct in that, and it's not, in my opinion, I don't feel it's a valid assessment to what they are looking to do.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Well, and I think this goes back to kind of conceptually, what are we trying to solve here? We're trying to solve really, really, really bad people getting guns and shooting up schools or shooting up churches or whatever. That's what this is attempting to solve.
Or claiming
but
to.
Any psychologist will tell you that it is very, very difficult to analyze whether or not somebody is capable of committing that kind of crime. It's like you need to be the best of the best, and probably this person would have had to be in therapy with you for a long time for you to know, yes, these are the signs that this particular person is going to commit some sort of a heinous crime. It's very difficult to determine if somebody is capable of that. And even if they are capable of it, lots of people are capable of bad things that aren't going to go out and actually do them. So I think the psychological evaluation thing is just a complete mess.
Yeah, no one's going to convince me that it's constitutional to limit someone's right to keep and bear arms so that they can defend themselves, that they can limit that to certain personalities. That's not going to fly. But again, we're going to have to fight it. So this is AB 1078. Check it out. It did pass, but there's more to it than just the 3-in-1, and that's what we wanted to talk about today. So check it out.
So when you're using it on your firearms, because it takes about 3 cleanings, so I like to say it's a clean shoot, clean shoot, clean shoot process, much like seasoning a cast iron skillet. So you're going to field strip your firearm, break it down, and then you're going to put our product on piece by piece by piece, covering the entire firearm. Then you're going to take the barrel, you're going to clean the barrel inside of that, and then you come back and you wipe it all off, and you're done. It's that easy. Remember, seal one and done.
So I was recently having a conversation with somebody, and I kind of wanted to get your take on this. But whenever I travel out of state, I feel like I have these interesting conversations with folks who live in places where gun laws are not the way they are here.
Yeah.
So I was talking to some folks from Kansas, and we were just chatting about how much more involved in Second Amendment rights and activism and stuff that I feel like I have to be than they do, because there's not really bad laws being passed in Kansas. Kansas is very gun friendly. And so we were just chatting about, well, if everybody who lived in these places where the laws are pretty good was still involved and still participating in activism in the bad states like California, New York, whatever, that we could make a lot more change, because there's so many folks in those states that enjoy their Second Amendment rights and they want to keep them and they want to be part of the solution, but it just doesn't feel close enough to home for them to really put in the time and the time and the money and the whatever to actually be involved.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a very similar conversation with somebody just within the last week or two as well. Same general idea. They live somewhere that doesn't yet have. That's how I'm going to phrase it. They don't yet have gun laws as bad as California.
Right.
But it's coming.
Yep.
I don't care what state you're in. It's coming. And so they're not involved, like at all. It just doesn't. They don't feel like they need to be involved. And I've definitely noticed 100% that, first off, there aren't enough involved people in the Second Amendment, whether it's California or Kansas or Oklahoma or wherever. There are just not enough people that really, truly, who are passionate about the Second Amendment, or at least claim to be on their Facebook page.
Right.
And are truly involved in the political process. But the other thing is, the folks who are involved in California are like experts, because you kind of have to be. There's so much to know that they end up learning so much about the Second Amendment and what's wrong with these laws and what's right with, getting rid of them and the, legal aspects and all the other stuff. I mean, they're practically, paralegals, which is really, really outstanding. I would put activists in California, Second Amendment activists in California, I'd put them up against activists in any other state.
100%.
They really know what they're doing. And it's weird, though. I mean, a lot of people live in this environment, or it's a perceived environment. I've talked to people in Arizona who have the perception, or Nevada, that have the perception that they live in a state that they don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
You got to worry. If you look at, some of the laws being proposed, if you talk to some of your elected officials, that's who it was. It was somebody in Arizona, and they were like, yeah, they kind of, now I'm starting to remember the conversation that, we had this similar conversation. And this person was really involved in California. They moved to Arizona, and they're now starting to see Creep.
that they need to be involved.
Yes.
Yes, even in Arizona. It's funny. I mentioned to the lady, I was chatting with a couple, and I mentioned to them, there's so many people who left California to get to better gun laws, like Tennessee, Colorado, whatever, New Mexico, and now those places have bad gun laws. And so it's like, yeah, the fight is going to come to you. Wherever you go, the fight is coming.
I had a buddy about 15 years ago who moved to Colorado, and one of the main reasons he moved to Colorado was the gun laws.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I can't get a CCW, and blah, 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 blah. And he was going on and on. And on his way out the door, he was like flaunting it.
Right.
We'd send us texts and emails, me and our friend group,
Look
about,
at what
you know,
I can have.
how smart he is.
Yeah, my
about,
off-roster guns.
And I've since lost contact with him. And I've seriously thought about trying to reconnect and just flaunting, like, so how's it going in Colorado?
How are those gun laws treating
I know
you?
Magpul left. You know?
Yep.
But it really is, it's truly, you know, we've talked about how the American experiment is, we're the country of the self-governed.
Yep.
That's the experiment. So, you know, boiled down into one sentence, that's the experiment. And if you are self-governed, you can't abdicate your responsibility to other people. You know, you can hire elected officials to make some decisions about a budget for you. But when it comes to paying attention to your rights, liberties, and freedom, you have to be involved. That's the price.
Yeah.
You know, you could not be involved, you know, and then just let it happen.
Well, and then we get what we have now, which is horrible gun laws, you know, trickling into a lot of other states.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, and that's a big part of, you know, San Diego County gun owners and Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners. That's what we're trying to do, is give you ways to be involved that are easier, but the fact that we're not just relying on someone to sue.
Right.
And we've talked a little bit about that, but I think it's worth repeating. You know, unless you're the attorney or the plaintiff or the judge, all you can really do is write a check. You know, and you should write a check to support these attorneys and so that they can sue, because, you know, California's got an unlimited budget. They don't have to worry about it. But if you're not one of those people, you know, and after you've written that check, I mean, it takes you 4.5 minutes to write the check or whatever. Go online. I'm dating myself. Write a check. Go online and make the donation. After you've done that 4.5 minutes of activism, you know, there's an ounce of prevention that can help. You know, the lawsuits are a pound of cure. You know, once things have happened, we have to put a ton of effort, and then going to court's a crapshoot. You know, there's only been one time in California history that a gun law has actually been reversed due to a lawsuit. One time, and it was the 1 in 30.
Yeah.
That's it. And oh, by the way, we're going to talk more about it. They're trying to undo that 1 in 30, but there's only been one time it's actually worked. Now, that doesn't count, you know, the Bruin decision and the Heller decision. I'm talking about just California law, a California law where a lawsuit was brought, and then boom, it actually went the full distance and the law was struck down. So that's an enormous, so it's a crapshoot to go to court. It's an enormous gamble. It's an enormous lift. And what we want people to do is get involved, because that is the ounce of prevention. If you can stop somebody from getting, you know, a position on a city council, or if you can stop somebody from getting elected to a, you know, school board, then you can stop them from going to Sacramento eventually or Washington, D.C. and doing these stupid gun laws.
Yeah, I think people think because they have an opinion about Second Amendment and they're vocal online that they're doing something, you know, like they're posting on their social media or whatever.
That is enormously true. If people think because they have an opinion on something that they're doing something, it's brilliant. That's actually, and the reality is nobody cares about your opinion.
Nobody.
You're the only person who cares about your opinion. I don't care if you're a writer. I don't care if you have 1,000 people on your Facebook page saying, yeah, you're right. Nobody truly cares about your opinion. Even if they care about your opinion, they care because it's mirroring their opinion.
Right.
And they like it.
Right.
So it's not, being an activist is not having an opinion. That's not what being an activist is. You're absolutely right.
And I think when people feel like they're doing something, they're helping, they're posting these memes, they're sharing, SAF posts or whatever, they're involved. That's really not doing anything at all. We've talked about it on the show before, and there was a whole segment about how to take a friend to the range. You can actually make change if you get more people enjoying the Second Amendment, using their Second Amendment rights, and if you are donating to the people who are actually doing the work in court. That's pretty much it. There's not much else. Like, you can either help get people who are on the fence about guns in the pro-gun camp, or you can spend money to help the lawsuits. We don't need your commentary about things online unless you're also putting in the work. If you're helping fight the fight.
Yeah, and if you have an opinion, great. Put it on your Facebook. Like, we're not discouraging you from having an opinion.
No.
Do it. But you have to put it in the right category. That's not activism.
Right. Yeah.
Having the opinion is entertainment.
Exactly.
And it's and it's the worth of your opinion is somewhere around zero.
Well,
but the worth of your work of going, hey, I'm going to walk a I'm going to walk a neighborhood. I always say precinct, but it just means it's just a neighborhood. It's all it is.
Yeah.
Walk a neighborhood and say, hey, here's who you need to vote for. Here's what you need. Here's the person you need to know. Or, hey, I'm having a coffee and, my mayor is going to be here and I need you to show up and meet. That actually has worth and value.
Yes.
That's something that actually, works.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people have good intentions. People who like the Second Amendment, people who live in other states who don't have the same kind of concerns about immediate issues happening in court in their states. But I think for anyone who's listening who's not in California, who feels like, oh, well, I don't know, that's so far away from me, there's so much you can do to help from there. You can totally help. We've got lots of organizations. We have a list. Maybe we could put a list up on the screen.
Join us. Join NRA. Join CRPA. Join GOC, GOA. There's a whole alphabet of names.
There's a lot of them. Yeah. And they're doing great work, and they're actually making changes in California. They're actually putting in the time and the effort to win lawsuits. So, and
I'll give you a preview. We're a couple weeks away from launching a really cool effort.
Yeah.
And it's going to be our activist scholarship program, where we are actually going to raise money to send people to GRPC, Gun Rights Policy Conference.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we're actually, my goal, I want to try to get at least 20 people from the San Diego area. We pay for your airfare, we pay for your hotel so that you can go to GRPC. We're not sure where it's going to be this year. It's probably going to be on the East Coast. But the idea is to get you there, get arrows in your quiver, and then have you work on something the next year that actually moves the ball forward as far as Second Amendment. So that's a preview. Wait for the big announcement. A couple weeks from now, we're going to do it. But you'll be able to help us raise money for activists to go learn how to be even more effective activists, and you'll possibly be able to get one of the scholarships. So that's the idea. Just remember, ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure. But the reality is, getting the right people elected in your backyard, truly an ounce of prevention. But to cure it through the courts is like 100 pounds.
Yeah,
right.
Like, it takes like 100 pounds to cure it through the courts. So anyway, so there you go. Well, that was an interesting conversation. It's funny that you and I had the same conversation or a similar conversation with somebody from out of state, in the same time period. But I think it's a common thing. I did definitely notice that GRPC, when we had it in San Diego, the audience was full of San Diego County gun owners members. Mm-hmm. When we had it in Salt Lake City,
people from everywhere.
Everywhere else. There wasn't anybody from Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Right.
There were a couple. There were like a handful of people from Salt Lake City, but it was from everywhere else, right? It was like we met people from,
East
Coast, South, Florida. And I thought that was really interesting because I think that Utah is one of those states that has a real, has good, they don't have bad gun laws yet.
Yeah, it feels comfortable for the people living there related to the Second Amendment. Like, it's comfortable. You're not worried. You don't have to. It's not front of mind. And I think there's so many gun owners everywhere where it's not front of mind for them. Every time I travel, people, especially for gun-related stuff, people are always like, when are you going to leave California? When are you moving to Texas? When are you moving to whatever? And I feel like a rude person kind of, because I've got this like pre-planned response where I go into like how important activism is and the Second Amendment and the laws are coming, to you too. And so it's always funny when people say that. I just like start my spiel about how important activism is and why I'm not moving out of California.
And sometimes it's tough to quantify how much activism works because a lot of what we're doing is preventing things from happening.
Right.
So it's hard to point and say, see that nothing that isn't there, that big not existent law, we help prevent that. But there really truly are examples. I think San Diego County Gun Owners, one of our biggest accomplishments is preventing a number of people from becoming elected officials. We did it in the sheriff's race in San Diego. That guy was an absolute disaster. The current sheriff we have has been great for gun owners, and we've done it across different cities and in countywide districts. But sometimes it's tough to tell how effective activism is because you can't quantify what didn't happen.
Right.
But we've done it a lot. So there you go. Ounce of prevention, get involved, do the things it takes, write the checks, send the money, but then a little elbow grease. Just do a little bit more than you did last year, this year. This year, do one more thing. If you did nothing last year, then just do one thing this year. If you did one thing last year, do two things this year. And I think you're going to see great results. This is brought to you by Cargo, cases and rugged gear outfitters in El Cajon. Go to cargostores.com, buy something today, or visit them at 423 Broadway in El Cajon. There are two enemies of your firearms, rust and the government. The good news is Cargo has your back on both fronts. As a proud sponsor, they're helping us fight to get more pro-Second Amendment officials into office, and their rugged cases help you keep your firearms secure and protected. Built like a tank, Cargo cases are stackable, weatherproof, and ready for anything. Whether you're hitting the range or going off the grid, you need a Cargo case. Whether for your gun or other equipment, you need a Cargo case. And here's something that's just for our listeners. If you buy a Cargo case in the store at Cargo Rugged Gear Outfitters in El Cajon, just mention Gun Owners Radio, and you're going to get a free desiccant pack. And that's going to help keep your gear bone dry, battle ready, and rust free. Visit them at 423 Broadway in El Cajon. Great products, great prices, and uncommonly good service. Cases and Rugged Gear Outfitters. Cargo. Check them out.
So this week with Not Me SD, we had one of our monthly classes, and it was our pepper spray and situational awareness class. Now, I love this class because we teach the women about situational awareness and pepper spray. It's as simple as that. And this week, of course, it's always led by our amazing instructor, Alicia. So, Alicia, how was the class this week?
So class was pretty awesome. So the ladies were super excited. We had a couple of returning ladies that have done it before that see value and, continuing to kind of come back. And this is true with anything. You expose yourself to something more than once, you're going to pick up different information than you did the time before. So it was awesome. We spent time talking about the legal reasons why pepper spray, right? I will tell you, a lot of people think that, well, if I carry a gun, what do I need pepper spray for? Like, why?
Right.
So we talk about the importance of it. Why? Because the idea is, in the eyes of the law, we have to be proportional to our threat, right? The gun should not be the only answer, and it's very critically important, in my opinion, to give yourself a defensive tool, an option at a lower level of force. Not everything, the gun can't be the answer to everything, and it should not be.
Pepper spray is less than lethal, right? So
non-lethal
non-lethal
in California.
So when I talk about pepper spray and kind of like the different levels of protection, I always say your gun is always your last option, right? Because if you pull the trigger on a gun, Alicia, you know it, you're going to jail. And like your life is going to change no matter what. So that's why we like to teach these pepper spray classes, is because at Not Me, we believe in having as many tools in your tool belt as you can to protect yourself.
Right.
And Alicia, what do you carry on a regular basis, just in general? Let's talk about
what do I carry?
Yeah, like what do you carry?
So, I mean, granted, I don't wear the same outfit every day, right? I don't always look this way. I am
You're
often a lady.
tactical right now.
Right, I'm often a lady. You can often find me in something dress or skirt, but I always have the same tools. And I do feel it's important to put your things in a consistent place.
Right.
So what that means for me is I personally do not carry a purse. I choose not to. I will leave it on every bathroom stall door and every restaurant chair. Right. So I choose not to because I know me. So that's not a good fit for me. So what that means is I've got what I've got on my body to put all of my tools. So I do carry a knife with me every day. Now, a knife is a deadly force tool. It would never be my first go-to. My knife is right here, and mine tends to be more for failure to extract casings and Amazon boxes. Now, should something occur with my firearm to where it maybe is not accessible or out of commission for some reason, a knife is an option, but it would never be my go-to. It's the same level of force. You are more likely to hurt yourself on your own knife. Right, so not. So my pepper spray is with me every day. And again, we've already established I don't carry a purse or a bag. I don't always have pockets. So my go-to place that's always consistent, that I always have available, is right tucked into my shirt there. So I have one consistent place because I don't want to be like, wait, where did I put it today, and checking all my pockets. I don't do that. So, and of course my firearm, I'm not going to pull that out here on YouTube, but I also have that with me every day, and I put that in the same consistent place.
And you train to be able to practice with that in case you ever need to use that.
Correct. Absolutely.
All right. So I know we went a little off topic, but it's okay. I like to talk about this because this is kind of talks about like what we do. So now let's talk a little bit more about the class and what we kind of talked about.
Right. So we talk about the legalities. Why, right? Not only the why from a legal perspective, but why from a moral or just a mindset perspective. We talk about situational awareness. We talk about our code of colors, and we talk about zones and what is appropriate and how we should not be letting certain people into certain zones and close proximities to our places. And we talk about cues that people may give and indicators that, those furtive gestures and things that we may see that might be problematic. We talk and we practice the idea of ask, tell, make. Right? If you have someone approaching you in a way that, or someone in your space that for some reason that's just not making you feel comfortable, any reasonable person, if you make it known that, hey, I'm not feeling good about this, I'm uncomfortable, I need you to step back, whatever it may be, somebody with not bad intentions is going to be, I am so sorry, right? Did not mean to, right? Something along those lines. But somebody who tends to have, maybe they're using a ruse to get close to you, they have bad intentions, they will tend to kind of take a different path, might accuse you of being unreasonable, right? They might try to sweet talk you to kind of still stay in your space, right? So we talk about that, we practice that, we demonstrate it, and really drive that home. And then also talk about the importance of don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, right? As ladies, we are often taught to be polite. When it comes to self-defense, if there's something that's just not sitting right with you, we don't have to be polite. And so we talk about all of that.
And I love when we're teaching these classes and we teach them how to use their voice, right? And I love how some of our little old ladies that take these classes are like, I can't cuss and I can't say that. And so we actually have to teach them, how to use their voice, and getting them to actually, one, say a cuss word and to say it like with intent, for me is always like that, that barrier that we have to get through with some of these. And I think it's so funny because they're like, I can't cuss and I don't want to say that with like force. And it's like, no, if you're feeling uncomfortable, like you really need to say that.
Use your voice. Don't be afraid to use your voice. And then of course we then move on to the practical side of pepper spray. How do you use it, right? We talk about staging it. We talk about how you pull it. What part of your hands do you use? We use thumbs. We don't use index fingers, right? We talk about the scientific side of what does pepper spray do? What does it do to the mucous membranes? What does it do to the lungs? What does it do to all the physical parts of the body, the pores, the skin? We talk about decontamination, of course, the practical application of the spray in the target zones. We talk about spray versus gel versus fogger. So we kind of cover all of that as well.
And what we work with a particular brand. What brand is that?
The brand I prefer is going to be Palm. So there are two popular companies that both do third-party testing that will basically, I would say that I trust the content of what they claim to have. Anything other than Palm and Saber, which are those two, I personally would not trust or consider carrying or ever recommend. Between Palm and Saber, my preferred brand is going to be Palm. That's what I recommend over Saber personally, and that is what we provided the ladies too, because as part of the class, they do get a pepper spray. They
do get a free pepper spray.
They do.
So we've talked about the pepper spray a little bit, part of the class. Let's talk about the situational awareness. Now, I love these classes because a lot of times we get like mother-daughter duos, right? And there's always a particular time in these classes where we talk about situational awareness, and the first thing we talk about is being on your cell phone, right? Like, because how many times are you out and about and people are just looking down on the cell phones, like not paying attention. And I love when we say that, and the moms always look at the daughters and they're like, get off your phone, right? And it's just because these kids these days are always on their cell phones. But then like one of the other opportunities where people are more of a threat out where they're not paying attention is simply putting groceries into the trunk of your car, right? And what I love is, I don't know how many times, Alicia, you and I have done these classes together, but I always walk away like being like more of a head on a swivel too, because I'm always paying attention a little bit more. But like where these threats are going to happen are in these like everyday situations and think about at night, or again, simply just putting groceries in the trunk of your car while you're not paying attention.
Right. Yeah. So that kind of comes into play with the code of colors, right?
Yep.
We've got our white, we've got our yellow, we've got our orange, we've got red, and then of course there was the later addition of the black. We talk about all of those, and we talk about the importance of in yellow, we're not paranoid, we're paying attention. Right. And we shouldn't, while yellow is where we need to be when we are out in a not so safe, not in a secure area. Yellow is where we should be a majority of the time. White has a place. White is when we are daydreaming. We're soaked in and absorbed into that phone. We are just resting the mind, not paying much attention. We're having a bit of aloof, right? We need to have that downtime. There's nothing wrong with white in the appropriate place. So we talk about that, but we talk about the importance of kind of having your head on that swivel, just paying attention. I walk through a doorway. I don't just walk through and go the direction I know that I need to go. I take a moment. I do a quick scan.
Right.
I arrive somewhere. I don't just hop out of my car. I take a moment, kind of scan the parking lot. If something doesn't sit right, I don't get out. Right. So just pay attention. Right.
Yep.
Then you got your orange. Your orange is that you've identified a problem where you start formulating a plan. Maybe I decide to cross the street. Maybe I decide to not get out of my vehicle and I leave. Maybe I decide to turn prematurely into somewhere I wasn't planning to go, but I go into a business instead where there's other people. I change my pattern. I change my intent. I don't continue forward towards something that I see that isn't sitting right with me. So red is the implementation of that plan. Right. Black is just the understanding of human nature is that we sometimes might even freeze. So understanding these levels of awareness we need to have, and then when and how and where it's appropriate to have them. And as far as the cell phones, absolutely get your nose out of that cell phone. Get your eyes out. There's lots of YouTube videos where they've interviewed men, women from prison, right? Murderers, rapists, burglars. What do they look for in a good victim? Well, the first thing they look for is they look for someone who's distracted.
Yep.
Right? Someone who's distracted, who's not really being aware of their surroundings. Not only that, but someone who walks with a lack of confidence. Right? It's not uncommon for people, in particular women, when walking, two people pass, if one makes eye contact, the other tends to look down.
Yep.
Right? Walk with confidence. Look them back in the eye. We're not in a confrontational way.
I'm stare down with you.
Right? No, you have hey, how you doing? Right? Let them know they've been seen. Right? Walk with confidence. So walk with confidence and don't be distracted. Those are two things that make
a big difference.
Make a difference, and it can make you when you have the ability to look someone in the eye and have that confidence to do that, you are paying attention to the world around you. You don't look like a good victim. So that's important.
That is important. So we love this class, right?
Yep.
We do this a couple times a year, and I know you said there was a lot more requests for it. So
correct.
For all of my Not Me ladies, we'll probably be doing it again early 2026. So keep an eye out on the calendar for that, and we'll be doing another one soon.
That's it.
Thanks, Alicia.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about 1791 Group. If your business is in the firearms industry, you've probably felt it. Marketing's expensive, social media is hostile, and it's far too easy to get lost in the noise.
The 1791 Group fixes that. They help you to cut through the clutter by clarifying your message so customers instantly understand why they should buy from you. Then they build the systems, your website, CRM, ads, and content that actually turn interest into sales. And because they understand the community, they can even get your brand in front of our gun owners radio audience, which includes over 100,000 engaged gun owners every month.
Don't waste another dollar on marketing that doesn't work. Go to 1791group.com, that's 1791group.com, and tell them Michael from Gun Owners Radio sent you. Start growing with a team that's on your side. Okay, activism is not a spectator sport. We need your help. We need you to be involved, and there are a lot of opportunities for you to be involved. First, every week we have tabletops and we have shooting socials, opportunities for you to sign up. Shooting socials are super cool. If you go to sdcgo.org/volunteer, sdcgo.org/volunteer, you'll see a ton of opportunities for you to volunteer. The shooting socials are really neat. It's an opportunity for people who've never shot a gun before to go to the range with us, and they're assigned somebody who knows what they're doing with a gun. and they get to learn how to shoot. So we need you to be one of those mentors. We need you to sign up and say, yeah, I can teach somebody how to shoot. Now, it's not instruction in the sense of like a full day class or professional instruction. This is a first time shooting experience. So it's somebody who is sitting there thinking to themselves, is this something I want to try? We give them a 2-hour shooting experience. You keep them safe. You show them how to shoot your 9mm pistol. We pair you up. We get the range and the targets and everything all taken care of, so you just get to do the fun part. You get to meet a brand new friend and show that person how to shoot your gun and then keep them safe while they're doing it. If that's something that you want to do, then sign up at sdcgo.org/volunteer for a shooting social. If you've never done it before, then sign up and come on down and we'll show you how to do it before you actually become a mentor. Tabletops, just as fun. Tabletops are where we spread the word about San Diego County gun owners and say, hey, this is how you can get involved. This is how you can become a member. And you get to hang out at a gun shop or a street fair or wherever that tabletop is happening. We set it up. We provide the materials. You even get a cool T-shirt for free. All you have to do is pick a day and a time and come on down and join us. Next thing I want to talk about is the San Diego County Gun Owners 10th birthday bash. San Diego County Gun Owners is 10 years old, so it's party time. We definitely want you to come down. If you've been a member, and just became one recently, or you've been a member for all 10 years, we want you to come to our party. It's free. All you have to do is RSVP at sdcgo.org. It is on November 6th. It's a Thursday, and it starts at 6 o'clock. It's going to be a ton of fun. You're going to get to meet people. We're going to talk about the impact that SDCGO has had, how there are more people shooting because of SDCGO. There are more people who are gun owners. There are more people that have CCWs. There are more people who are elected into office. There are more people involved in politics, all thanks to SDCGO. We're very proud of our record, and we want you to come down and celebrate with us. So, we also have a really cool special surprise at our 10th anniversary birthday party. We have one of our own SDCGO members. His name's Tyler, and he's a firearms designer, and he's developing the next generation of firearms technology right here in San Diego. He's combining the bolt-action accuracy with a gas system repeatability, and he's going to have an example of it at the range. It's a special treat at our birthday party, or rather at our birthday party. Tyler's going to be giving a hands-on preview of his 3D printed prototype. So it's not a full firearm. It's a prototype that you're going to get to handle and check out. So it's not a working firearm. It's a full-scale model, and you're going to actually get to hold it and feel it and check it out. Word is that several major industry brands have actually already expressed interest in this, so you're going to get to see it before you can even buy it, before other people have even heard of it. So don't miss your chance to see the future of firearms innovation only at the SDCGO birthday party. We're the past and future of Second Amendment advocacy at the local level, so come on out. Okay, our last first aid class is October 25th. Get your Red Cross first aid certificate. That includes CPR and AED training, as well as your Stop the Bleed certificate. Honestly, this is the type of training that everyone really, truly should have, whether they're a gun owner or not, particularly if you're a gun owner. You want to be a more prepared protector for your friends, for your family, for your community. If you're a student in this class, you're also going to get the opportunity to purchase the Prepared Protector IFAC, the individual first aid kit, for $50 off. It's normally a $145 kit, but you're going to pick it up for $95. All you got to do is sign up at gunownersradio.com, and you'll be able to go to this October 25th first aid class. The last Intro to Modern Off-Grid Communications class of the year is November 8th. If you're tired of filtered news and secondhand reports, it's time to take control. This class isn't just for preppers. It's becoming a must-attend for citizen journalists who want to get the truth firsthand. You'll learn how to stay connected and gather real information even when the internet, cell towers, or mainstream media go dark. Discover proven off-grid tools to track breaking events, weather, and emergencies in real time. So we want you to be informed, be independent, and be ready. The final class is November 8th. sign up at gunownersradio.com. Those are just some of the opportunities for you to get involved. There's always an opportunity with San Diego County gun owners. If you're anywhere near the San Diego area, if you're in San Diego County, anywhere at all, you want to be involved. If you're passionate about the Second Amendment, help us preserve, protect, and restore it right here in California. So membership is the lifeblood of any organization, and it's certainly true in San Diego County Gun Owners. We have some of the best members out there, and we're always doing something to recruit even more members. If you're thinking of volunteering at a tabletop, we welcome you. It's going to be a lot of fun, but we want to make sure that, if you're curious about, well, gee, how exactly does this go? And what am I going to have to tell people? We wanted to make more clear, exactly what you're going to be doing and how to interact with the public to recruit them and become a member just like yourself. So I brought in Desi.
Hi, Mike.
From Not Me. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Fantastic. You're our Not Me project coordinator, right?
Director, whatever
Director,
my title is today.
Fantastic. And you are excellent at talking to people and bringing people into the Second Amendment world. So I thought I'd bring you in and we'd talk about, hey, if somebody's interested in being in a tabletop, let's talk about, what types of things that they would be doing. And you're fresh off a tabletop. We were at the Bulls Only Rodeo, right? San Diego
Last
County
weekend.
Gunners? Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of fun. Everybody's always having a lot of fun at these tabletops, whether it's at a gun shop or a street fair or whatever. So, first off, what exactly do you do at a tabletop? Before we even talk about what to say, what is a tabletop?
So a tabletop is an opportunity for us to reach people that we normally wouldn't, right? So this is our opportunity to tell them about San Diego County gun owners, who we are and what we do.
Exactly. And the tabletops, we organize them.
We organize them. We supply the volunteers. We always have a tabletop lead that's there to kind of give the new volunteers the direction. So this is for existing volunteers or for even someone who's just thinking about volunteering, right? We love it all.
There you go. And when I say we, I'm talking about these tabletop leads who are
Right.
volunteers. They're wonderful guys and ladies. So they're wonderful people. And they pick the venue and they say, hey, I'll bring all the gear. I'll set it up. All I need are volunteers. So if you want to be involved, all you have to do is go to our volunteer website, pick a time and a place, a venue that's already there. And when you show up, it's already going to be all set up. You're going to have somebody there that's going to be able to answer all your questions and show you exactly what to do. Now, when you're talking to folks, if you're a volunteer at a tabletop and you're talking to folks, somebody walks by, how do you recommend that people talk to new folks to get them involved or get them interested?
Right. So that's a great question, Mike. So there's a couple of ways that we can actually introduce San Diego County Gunners to new people that have never heard of us before. One of the first things, because I have a sales background, right? I've done sales for over 15 years, so I kind of like to break it down into different stages.
Okay.
So the first one let's talk about is just a 30-second pitch about San Diego County gun owners.
Gotcha.
So if I'm at a tabletop and you're just walking by, what I might say is, hey, Mike, have you heard of San Diego County gun owners before?
Yes. So someone's walking by. Have you ever heard of San Diego County gun owners before? I've done the same thing hundreds of times. And you know what I've found?
What's that?
No matter what they say, just roll into your pitch. Whether they say, oh, yeah, I'm real familiar, then say, great, and go into your pitch. If they say, no, I've never heard of San Diego County, great, and go into your pitch.
You're still going to go into your pitch. Right.
So what's the pitch? Give us
So
the
that
pitch.
30-second elevator pitch is we're your local Second Amendment community, the only group fighting for your rights right here in San Diego. We've been around for over 10 years, working to get the right people elected, organizing the 2A community, and making sure your voices are heard. We're over 4,000 members strong, growing every day. Instead of leaving California, we're staying and fighting for your rights together. Join us. It's easy, it's local, and it actually makes a difference.
And excellent. So you basically give them a taste. Here's what we're doing. Second Amendment, we're getting people involved, we're getting people elected, that sort of thing. But the best part of that was at the end when you actually said, join us.
Join today.
Join today. Giving them the option of joining right then and there. Because if you never ask, then chances are they're never going to make the decision.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like to call the assumptive close, right? It's not the, hey, do you want to join? It's join us.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Exactly. And okay, all right, great. So you got their attention, you gave them the 30-second speech and said, hey, join us. What's next?
So let's talk about what we do, right? So you've got their attention now and they're intrigued. So they want to learn a little bit more about what we do. So now let's talk about our purpose, okay? So our purpose is simple. We exist to protect and restore your Second Amendment rights through 4 main focuses. Advocacy, we fight for your rights at the city and council level. Community, we organize gun owners, bringing everyone together so our voices are heard. political fundraising. So we use money to support candidates that will actually defend your Second Amendment rights locally. And then finally, our industry partnership. So we work closely with our local ranges, gun shops, and instructors to strengthen our 2A community.
Perfect. So now they have a taste of exactly what we're doing. They know who we are. We know what we're doing. They know what to expect.
Right.
You know, why does my membership matter? So now they know.
Yeah.
All right. So what's
So
next?
now let's talk about why it matters, okay? So we're not just another club, Mike. We're a political organization. Our goal is to get the right people elected. Folks who've been vetted by San Diego County gun owners and who truly support your Second Amendment rights. These local leaders often go on to higher offices at the county, state, and even federal level, which is why starting locally is so important.
There you go. Okay, fantastic. Again, that's what makes us different from other organizations.
Exactly.
You know, we want you to be a member of all the organizations. So the federal organizations, the state organizations, you know, NRA, FPC, SAF, GOA, GOC, CRPA, all these other, you know, alphabet names, you know,
Right.
absolutely be a member of those. But why should they pay attention to us? If they're members of all those other organizations, why should they pay attention to us? And that's exactly why. That local advocacy, the political focus, that's what makes us different.
Exactly. And that's why we want to stress that difference at the local level.
Great. And what's next? Then
So
what
let's
do we
talk
do?
about our impact, right?
Okay.
So one of the other things that we do is we work with the media to tell your story, the story of sane, trained, law-abiding gun owners, because if we don't tell that story, no one else will. I mean, think about how many times, Mike, in the media, gun owners are seen in the incorrect way. So that's a part of what we do is we'd like to tell that story. And I think that's so important to stress when you're talking about our impact to other people.
I think you're absolutely right. And the sane, trained, law-abiding thing, you know, that really spells out who exactly we're doing it for. And to engage with media was an important piece of the puzzle that, you know, 10, 20 years ago, throughout the 80s and 90s and even into the 2000s, 2010s, not enough gun organizations or Second Amendment organizations were engaging with mainstream media. And what was left is that mainstream media was telling a completely and totally different story than they should have been when it comes to gun ownership. So that's a big part of what we do at San Diego County Gun Owners. If you're local media, you're the 6 o'clock news and you need someone to talk about the Second Amendment, San Diego County Gun Owners is going to be there to make sure that you get the true story, so that when folks turn on their 6 o'clock news or they look at their Facebook feed or their YouTube channel and they want to see what's going on in San Diego, they see a pro Second Amendment truth. And that's exactly a big part of why they should join and why it's important to be a member to support that.
So let's talk a little bit more about the why you want to join, Mike. So there's strength in numbers, right? So instead of fleeing California for a more gun-friendly state, which, Mike, you and I know a lot of people are doing, we're staying and we're fighting here. So we already have 4,000 members, more than that, right? Because our numbers are growing every day. So the more of us that there are, the more strength in numbers.
Awesome. Exactly right. I think that's an important point. Okay.
And then the final kind of to bring it all home, right? Like, let's just call it the close of the conversation is, so if you believe in your rights and you want to be a part of something that actually makes a difference here in San Diego, we'd love you to join SDCGO today. It's easy, it's affordable, and every membership dollar stays here in San Diego. So it's $10 a month or $100 for the year. Join today.
There you go. Can you join today? Just simple ask.
Simple ask.
And they usually get like a sticker and a lapel pin and a glass.
Pint glass.
And that's all super cool. But I got to tell you, asking them to join today to support the things that we're doing, rather than the trinkets they're taking home, a lot of people see the value and say, yeah, great, I totally get it. I'll give you a year to prove yourself.
Right.
I'll sign up and be a member for a year. And, the vast majority of our members have been extremely happy with what we're doing and have seen the effects and experienced the positive effects of San Diego County Gun Owners. But you're absolutely right, that piece of asking, like, hey, join today. Can you do it right now? It only takes a couple of minutes. Join today. I think that's crucial. And
it's even just going another step further, Mike, right? With actually taking out your phone or having them bring out their phone, going to the website and helping them walk through the process. Because it takes us, a minute to actually sign a new member up. And so it's better to have them do it now than, I'm going to do it when I go home. 9 times out of 10, if they say they're going to do it when they get home, they don't do that. So that's why if we can actually bring out their phone, walk them through it, that's kind of like the assumptive close and getting them to do it right then and there.
There you go. Some of our very best members came from a tabletop, had no idea who we were when they walked up, but learned who we were, joined, and became really great, valuable members, and engaged and fantastic volunteers. So great, fantastic. What else? Anything else, or is that sum it up?
I think that sums it up with someone like the tips and tricks on, how to talk to people at tabletops. Is there anything else that you can think of that we might want to go over with our volunteers?
I think that it's important to know that if you're working at a tabletop and you're representing, the Second Amendment, it's not a debate. You're not there to convince somebody. You're not there to argue, debate. It's not a panel discussion. Sometimes people just want to vent, and sure, listen to them vent, but you're not there to have, a huge political discussion. So I don't want that to intimidate you. I just don't think it's valuable at that place and time to sit there and have this big, huge debate. It's really just a place to say, hey, here's who we are. Give us a shot. And then maybe tell people, hey, this is why I'm here. This is why the Second Amendment is important to me. Or this is what I like about San Diego County gun owners. Because there's really no more effective sales pitch than the one that you're most passionate about. So if you tell people, hey, I got to tell you, I got my CCW and it's changed the way I've been able to defend myself and my family, and San Diego County gun owners showed me how, and they advocated for it and got it put in place. Whatever's most passionate to you about it, let them know. But again, it's not really, these tabletops aren't set up so that you can, have a debate party. It's for you to say, here's what I think about the organization, the Second Amendment. Here's how you can become an effective part of the community. Here's your opportunity.